I, uh, I don't know what to do now. I don't have the parenting skills necessary to deal with this.
Peter Griffin is many things. A bumbling idiot, a 300-pound man-child, and possibly the worst decision-maker in all of animated television. But a good dad? That's not exactly what comes to mind when you think of the guy who once sold Meg to a cult for beer money.
Told you my daughter.
Huh? What?
Yep, all you gotta do is sign this contract.
Are you out of your mind?
Yet, believe it or not, buried beneath all those layers of incompetence and beer fat, there have been rare moments where Peter actually stepped up and did right by his kids. And today, we're diving into those shocking instances when Peter Griffin was actually a decent father. Trust me, you'll want to stick around for some of these, because they're as rare as finding intelligence in Peter's brain. Section 1. The Quagmire Intervention. Let's start with perhaps Peter's finest hour as a father.
Surprise!
Oh dear.
Hey, Quagmire, what's going on?
Well, Peter, a little birdie told me that today is Meg's birthday.
The time he saved Meg from becoming another one of Quagmire's conquests. In the episode Meg and Quagmire, Meg turns 18. And you know what that means to Quahog's resident pervert. The second she hits legal age, Quagmire swoops in like a predator at an all-you-can-eat buffet. He takes her out, wines and dines her, and even brings her to his infamous cabin that he definitely doesn't call the Stuff It In. But here's where Peter actually shows some parental instinct. While Lois is bizarrely okay with the whole situation, Peter sees right through Quagmire's intentions. He crashes their romantic getaway just as things are about to cross the most disturbing line imaginable. Peter literally bursts through the door and threatens to cut off Quagmire's thing and feed it to Brian if he ever touches his daughter again. Now that's the kind of protective father energy we needed to see more of. For once, Peter's impulsiveness worked in his favor, saving Meg from a lifetime of therapy. But protecting Meg from perverts wasn't Peter's only heroic dad moment. Wait until you hear about the time he literally became a fisherman to save his family from homelessness.
Yeah, it's like being at the beach, huh? Now get over here while the inside of your mouth is still freezing cold.
There you are, you son of a bitch! You get away from my daughter, you pervert! Meg, get in the car, we're going home!
Section 2. The Daggermouth Hunt. In A Fish Out of Water, Peter finds himself in a financial nightmare that would make most people panic. After losing his job and buying a $50,000 fishing boat at auction, Peter takes out a loan from Jim's bank, using his house as collateral. And because this is Peter Griffin we're talking about, the bank is so confident he'll fail that they literally start moving another family into his house before the payment deadline even arrives. Most fathers would crumble under this pressure. But Peter? He decides to hunt down Daggermouth, a legendary killer fish with a $50,000 bounty on its head. Sure, the fish turned out to be a robot created by a merchandising scheme, but that's not the point. Peter was willing to face what he thought was a man-eating monster to keep his family off the streets. He recruited his buddies, sailed into dangerous waters, and refused to give up even when everyone told him he was crazy. That's the kind of determination most dads reserve for Black Friday TV sales. The fact that Peter channeled it into keeping his family housed? That's actually impressive.
I disappeared and spread the Daggermouth rumor myself.
Why?
Merchandise!
And speaking of going to extreme lengths for his kids, you won't believe what Peter did when he went undercover at James Woods High School. Section 3. Lando Griffin, Undercover Drug Warrior. Let's Go to the Hop gave us one of Peter's most ridiculous yet surprisingly effective parenting moments. When James Woods High gets hit with a bizarre drug epidemic, kids licking hallucinogenic toads, Peter decides to infiltrate the school disguised as Lando Griffin, a cool new transfer student complete with leather jacket and greased back hair. Now, was this plan insane? Absolutely. Did Peter look like a 40-year-old man desperately clinging to his youth? Without question. But did it work? Somehow, yes. Peter actually convinced the kids that licking toads wasn't cool, effectively ending the drug problem at the school. He protected not just his own kids, but every student at James Woods High from getting hooked on toad licking. The episode took a weird turn when Peter got too caught up in his high school persona and almost ditched Meg at the winter snowball for Connie D'Amico. But in the end, he made it right by publicly declaring that Meg was his first choice all along, giving her a rare moment of popularity and acceptance.
My first choice was Meg Griffin.
What?
Meg Griffin! So now, heartbroken, I will ride recklessly into the night and up Dead Man's Curve.
Sure, Lando then dramatically rode off into the night and supposedly died at Dead Man's Curve. But the important thing is, Peter gave his daughter a memory she'd cherish forever. Well, until the therapy sessions start, anyway. Section 4. The Disney World Rescue. One of the most genuinely heartwarming Peter as dad moments comes from the courtship of Stewie's father. After Lois points out that Stewie never includes Peter in his drawings, Peter tries to bond with his youngest son. He discovers that Stewie loves seeing Lois get hurt, so naturally, Peter interprets this as quality father-son bonding time. Things escalate until Peter and Stewie literally drown Lois in the family station wagon. When Lois demands an explanation, Peter backs her up and sends Stewie to his room. Stewie feels betrayed, and Peter realizes he screwed up.
You traitor! I trusted you, but you're a wuss!
So what does he do? He takes Stewie on a trip to Disney World in Florida. Because nothing says I'm sorry like a $500 theme park vacation. But the trip goes sideways when Stewie wanders off and gets captured by Disney security guards who force him to work in It's a Tiny, Tiny World. Basically, child slave labor disguised as an attraction. Peter doesn't give up. He goes full Indiana Jones, navigating through the attraction, rescuing Stewie and the other trapped children, and even punching former Disney CEO Michael Eisner in the face before watching him get eaten by crocodiles. Father and son embrace, Stewie's faith in Peter is restored, and they head home together. It's one of the rare times Peter and Stewie actually connect as father and son, and it's surprisingly touching, for Family Guy standards anyway.
You really came through for me today, so oh, what the hell?
But Disney World wasn't the only time Peter went on a rescue mission for his kids. The time he broke into a foster home might be even more insane. Section 5. Operation Rescue Stewie. Love Thy Trophy features one of Peter's most elaborate parenting moments. After Meg lies about Stewie being her crack-addicted baby to get sympathy tips at her waitressing job, Child Protective Services overhears and investigates the Griffin household. To make matters worse, the neighbors are in the middle of a street war over a trophy. So when social services interviews them, they all trash-talk Peter and Lois out of spite. The result? Stewie gets taken away and placed in a foster home with parents who don't even know how to pronounce his name. Peter is devastated. Sure, he may not be the brightest bulb, but he loves his kids. So he organizes a full-scale rescue operation with the entire Spooner Street crew. Cleveland and Joe create a distraction. Lois and Bonnie monitor from a surveillance van, and Peter goes full Santa Claus, literally climbing down the chimney of the foster home in the middle of the night. The plan almost works, but they get caught. In the end, Peter trades Meg's brand new $1,100 Prada bag to get Stewie back. Some might say it's messed up that Meg had to give up the bag she worked so hard for, but look at it this way. Peter valued his son more than material possessions. He was willing to do whatever it took, including committing multiple felonies to bring Stewie home. That's dedication. Section 6. Confronting the Bully. The Tan Aquatic with Steve Zissou shows Peter's protective instincts in full force, even if his execution was questionable. When Chris gets bullied by a 13-year-old punk named Kyle who steals his paper route and pushes him around, Peter does what any concerned father would do. He goes to talk to Kyle's parents. When that doesn't work, he confronts Kyle directly. Now, did Peter go too far by beating up a middle schooler? Legally speaking, absolutely. Morally, still yes. But emotionally, you can't help but appreciate that Peter was willing to catch an assault charge to defend his son. Kyle had been relentlessly tormenting Chris, and Peter wasn't going to stand for it. Sure, Kyle then convinced Peter to become a bully himself, which led to a whole other mess. But the initial intention was pure. Peter saw his son hurting and took action. That's more than a lot of TV dads would do. And speaking of taking action, Peter once became a high school principal just to protect Meg from her tormentors.
Due to his erratic behavior, we have placed Principal Shepard on indefinite paid leave.
I'll be your new principal.
Section 7. Principal Peter. In The Peter Principal, when Principal Shepard has a mental breakdown during his divorce, the school board needs a temporary replacement. Peter volunteers, and for once, he actually uses his position of power for good, specifically to protect Meg. When he sees students tormenting his daughter right in front of him, he doesn't just give them detention. He turns the tables completely, unleashing his authority on anyone who dares mess with Meg. Sure, things eventually spiral out of control as Meg compiles a hit list of everyone who's ever wronged her, and Peter nearly crosses some serious legal lines. But the core message was clear. Peter wasn't going to let anyone hurt his daughter anymore. For years, Meg had been the family punching bag, and Peter was usually the one throwing the punches. Seeing him actually stand up for her was a refreshing change. When it was all over, Peter apologized for not being a good principal, but Meg told him he was a great dad. That moment right there, that's what we're talking about. Section 8, the college road trip. Meg stinks! Gave us perhaps the most genuinely sweet Peter-Meg moment in the entire series. When Meg gets an interview at her dream school, Green Mountain College in Vermont, Peter loses a bet and has to drive her. He's his usual dismissive self at first, not even ordering her food at a diner. But then something magical happens. Meg plays Night Moves by Bob Seger on the jukebox, revealing she knows everything about Peter's musical tastes and interests. This moment opens Peter's eyes. For the first time, he actually bonds with his daughter. They crash a college party, stay up all night, and have genuine fun together. They miss the interview the next morning, but Meg doesn't even care because it's the first positive experience she's ever had with her father.
We didn't go. I slept right through it.
What?
Yeah, it was awesome. We stayed up all night partying.
Peter explains with surprising clarity why he had Meg, because he didn't like using condoms, and how he gave up a promising career as a podiatrist to support his family. It's honest, it's real, and it's one of the few times Peter and Meg connect as father and daughter. Thanks for watching, and remember, if Peter Griffin can occasionally be a good dad, there's hope for all of us.